Welcome to storytelling as part of a multi-channel content marketing strategy. My name is Kimberly Funk, and I'm the channel marketing manager at Qgiv, which means that I work on all the marketing channels involving our partners and major accounts. And I've been at Qgiv's now just a little over 2 years. Prior to joining the team, I worked in marketing in some fun and interesting industries, everything from financial, entertainment, solar, franchising, but now the most important, nonprofit technology. On a personal level, I'm an avid tennis player. I've recently gotten into Pilates, and interesting to most people, a dog mom to 4 St. Bernards. There they are in the photo. Storytelling is one of the hottest topics in the nonprofit world right now. A well-told story will connect donors to your mission, inspire them to give, and keep them engaged, and it is absolutely a critical part of your marketing strategy. So what exactly is it? Well, it's using a narrative to communicate a message. The goal is to make the viewer feel something, and that then inspires them to take action. For nonprofits, it's a very powerful tool to create an emotional connection and helps donors and volunteers understand why they should care and give to your organization. You may be surprised to learn that telling stories with images predates storytelling using words. Early cave paintings depicted animal hunts and other stories from early civilizations. As written languages developed, stories could be told in words without a visual element. Yet visual storytelling still endures today. And this is because our brains process visual information much easier than other types of data, and a story tends to make information way more memorable. Now, marketers have harnessed the power of storytelling, and the best storytelling ads tell not only real life stories, but historical tales and inspirational accounts. And while they differ in their delivery, they all cause a multitude of emotions in viewers. The best example, in my opinion, of growing your creative idea is the Nike Just Do It campaign that was started in 1988. It's a great example of the myriad of ways a brand can use storytelling in their communications and content strategy. The very first Just Do It TV spot in 1988 featured a shirtless older man jogging across the Golden Gate Bridge. So let's watch it now.
I run 17 miles every morning. People ask me how I keep my teeth from chattering in the wintertime. I leave them in my locker.
Short and absolutely to the point. Commercials offer powerful and efficient storytelling examples, and some marketing professionals actually watch commercials with the audio off to see if they get the message, or they do the opposite. They'll close their eyes and listen only. So, nonprofit storytelling refers to stories, often involving real people or situations, told by nonprofits to advance a particular cause. And storytelling is a marketing tactic that the nonprofit sector uses to create emotional connections with their current and prospective supporters. And this, then in turn, makes their supporters more likely to take action, such as donating, volunteering, or spreading the word. Storytelling enables marketers to develop a deeper connection with the audience by communicating, educating, and sharing. And it is a huge part of our daily communication, perhaps without even realizing it. Because as consumers, we are exposed to over 5,000 brand messages every day. So stories help your brand message be remembered and can boost rates by 30%. So why develop your story? Well, it's beneficial for many reasons, and it is effective as it creates engagement, encourages people to act, improves your nonprofit brand awareness, connects you to your supporters through that emotional content, serves as inspiration to donors, volunteers, and your community. It builds a community around your mission, but most importantly, it illustrates problems and accompanying solutions. Storytelling is a tactic as part of a larger goal. So first, you'll need to be clear about what that goal is. Then you can be intentional with both the stories you choose and how you choose to tell them. So think carefully about what you want to accomplish. How are you trying to influence or persuade your supporters? And how will the story help you do that? When incorporating digital media in your storytelling strategy, layer a variety of channels in your plans. Think about the channels that your audience interacts with most. If it's your website, perfect thing would be case studies or long form blogs. Maybe social media, direct mail, marketing collateral that includes annual reports, conferences, events, emails that have both awareness and fundraising campaigns. Some of your supporters will interact with multiple marketing channels, while others will only interact with one or two at the most. So using multiple channels allows you to reach a wider audience. Plus, each supporter will be likely to see your story more than once, increasing the likelihood that it sticks with them and that it motivates them to take that action. So, what does a good nonprofit story look like? Well, let's watch one.
Kainan ng karolle? Wala walang nena gulmaran. Para nara marol jokut. Para pala dindingit. Ilarang nunay pangalaman na. Langirayo. Wala mana yerekin niya. Ada din karadar. Nadangar remeli. Lenda lakwaran ladong ya. Tapi dan morangi. Negara ko tengo ang tasawag kanya. Ada balik dan karena doa ya. Nah, urusan kalian oke ya.
Wow. So this is a fantastic example of purpose-driven nonprofit brand storytelling that successfully elicits an emotional response. This video by Water is Life. Water is Life is a nonprofit dedicated to providing clean water for communities around the world. And in this video, they clearly demonstrate what the organization does and why they do it through a very specific community perspective along a very linear storyline with an extremely positive emotional ending. The result is nothing less than compelling, and I dare you to watch it without being moved in some way. So the takeaway here is an authentic, inspirational story can be the most memorable story you'll tell, especially in a world where companies can be seen as cheaply tugging at heartstrings. So don't shy away from the profound. As long as it aligns with your nonprofit brand promise, I do want to mention that there are ways to produce impactful videos without a lot of money or expertise. And I have included some of these tips in the workbook for you so that you can make something just this great. So telling a nonprofit brand story is like telling a love story. It's the most powerful digital marketing tool an organization has. We crave the emotional experience of being told a story, and brands are wise to take a cue. In an age where the market is inundated with For profit and nonprofit brands clamoring for attention, the only tactic that consistently cuts through is telling stories that resonate. However, brand stories aren't ads or marketing pitches. Brand stories are stories, and they should be thought of in that way. In short, stories have power because users attach the emotional experience they have when watching the story to the brand that's telling it. They trust the brand because because the experience they've had was real. So tell a good story and you'll leave an emotional imprint on someone that's hard to shake. The hardest part of curating your own story is to put it into a flow and context that is easy to understand. Don't be restricted by using only words. You can also incorporate photos and visuals. Use all the resources that are available to you to tell a compelling nonprofit story. So think of one of the 4 types of storytelling shown here: founding, individual impact, donor, or volunteer. The Water is Life video is an example of the individual impact story because it identifies one person who really has benefited from the nonprofit and it tells their story. And it's very impactful and it leads people to relate to it and increase engagement. So let's cover the 4 building blocks of storytelling, also known as the 4 C's: character, connection, conflict, and conquest. Connection, well, connection is the bridge between the supporter and your organization. And the most common connections are our basic needs, wants and desires: a roof over our head, food on the table, clean water. Characters, well, there are usually 2. Main character is the person, animal, place, or entity that has been improved by your organization. And the second character is your organization and or the donors who make the improvement possible. Conflict, well, this is what holds the main character back from achieving those basic needs, those wants, and those desires. Conquest, the outcome of the main character's situation, how the character's problem has been solved and or their life has been improved with the help of your organization. The only way for a character to appeal to a donor's inner values is by making a connection. And this is accomplished by revealing something the character either does, stands for, or has experienced. And the character must be known to have a universal human quality. So let's think back to the Water is Life video we just watched. I don't know about you, but I found myself very connected with Nick Tolley's bucket list quest. Center your story around a character within your nonprofit's orbit. A board member, staff member, volunteer, donor, or constituent would be great characters for your story. The idea is that you should build your story around an individual rather than your nonprofit itself. And this not only allows your story to progress forward, but it also centers the story about the work you do around those who fuel it rather than your organization. And you want supporters to feel motivated by your story, and choosing the right character allows you to show them the impact that they can have. Lastly, be especially mindful with how you choose to discuss your characters, especially if you are depicting constituents. You want to accurately depict the individual and their needs without misrepresenting them. Water is Life introduced us to Nick Tolley, and in my opinion, they did everything right. Begin your story with a general introduction to your character and organization. Then unleash the challenge or the conflict that your character is going to confront for the remainder of the story. When you discuss this problem, provide some context surrounding why it's such a crucial issue to understand and combat. This is where you can use your data to drive the urgency to your mission. Start with the big picture or the global pain. Due to the unsafe drinking water, 1 in 5 children under the age of 5 won't survive. Next, discuss the specific situation or the target pain. Nick Tolley is one of those children that may not make it to his 5th birthday. Offer solutions. Helping Water is Life can help save children like Nick Tolley. Position your organization as the logical nonprofit to support. Offer a dollar amount like we see so often on commercials. $11 a month can make the difference for the 1 in 5 children who might not survive otherwise. With the Water is Life, absolutely, I believe they covered all of these. So next, You'll want to provide a solution that ties in both the main character and your nonprofit's efforts, with both working together to overcome your main conflict. For example, you might discuss how the fundraising work of volunteers and nonprofit staff members raised crucial funds that provided clean water, sanitation, and hygiene solutions in Nectoli's village and others in desperate need. While it's important for supporters to understand the gravity of your mission, it's just as important for them to see it can be achieved. Showing them that there is a solution to the problem and that your nonprofit is working alongside supporters to bring that solution to life, it's key. So before you get lost in the details of your nonprofit story, map out its basic arc. Your story's arc is the overall path it will follow, generally broken up into three main points: the beginning, the middle, and the end. In the beginning, this is where the main characters and basic details about your challenge are introduced. As an example, we met Nectoli. The middle, this is where the challenge reaches a peak or climax and your characters learn, grow, and take action against those challenges. We see Nectoli's bucket list and we watch him experience beating the world's fastest man in a foot race or seeing the ocean for the first time, getting his first kiss. The end. This is where the characters overcome the challenge and the story ends with a happy resolution. Although we didn't see if Nectoli made it, the story leaves us with a feeling that now that water is life is in his village helping, that he did. I felt hopeful. How about you? So now that you've seen how it can be done and we've covered a few things to consider, let's work on developing your idea for your organization. The first step in making your digital story is figuring out an idea for the story you'd like to tell. If you're not sure, you can do different activities to get the creative juices flowing, like brainstorming or drawing your ideas, listening and reading for topics, scanning lists and photos, thinking about your personal knowledge or experience or other journeys, and asking friends, family, teachers, or coworkers. So ask yourself these questions, as the answers will help you decide which story idea may be right for your campaign. Writing and drawing exercises, like any kind of warm-up routine before playing a sport or a musical instrument, well, they help loosen up your imagination while honing your writing muscles. So take a couple cues here. Focus on one of the five senses. Tell the story from another person's point of view. Answer who, what, where, when, why, how. Create a scrapbook. Draw out your ideas. Select a photo. But there's definitely some great tips here. Digital storytelling allows for creativity. And while there is no single format that stories need to follow, here are some things to consider. Make it an attention getter. Consider sharing a personal experience. Share a message of hope. But last but not least, remember that the point of your story isn't to simply get supporters to listen, it's to get them to contribute. So think about what you want your supporters to do after they read or watch your story, whether that's donating, signing up for a volunteer shift, calling their local representatives, or simply telling their friends and family. Then wrap up your story with a call to action. Ask readers to get involved through and provide a step-by-step explanation for how to do so. And this is especially impactful if you can link directly to the online page and link your donation form, your volunteer sign up, event sign up, whatever you're using. But be where the supporter can take that specific action. Storyboarding. Well, it refers to a way of planning for all the things that will appear in the digital story, such as music, pictures, words, text, photos, video. Storyboards help storytellers to picture the entire story from start to finish. And storyboards are created in the order of things that happened and help to show what things will appear in the video and when. And they do often inspire new ideas for organization or visual effects, and they show gaps and they help us improve the video's quality. So think about the place where you will be filming or recording and any challenges you may need to address. As an example, lighting, noise, background. The outline for a digital story is a key part of the process. So having a well thought out, written or drawn outline helps reach goals related to time and purpose. Pixar is the end-all be-all of reliable storytelling. Their films don't flop. They just have varying degrees of success. The talented writers and animators at Pixar have narrowed down a simple outline for writing stories that succeed. These steps may not look like much, but they contain simple story elements that you can use to captivate your supporters. Once upon a time, every day, but one day, because of that, until finally, and ever since then. So let's take a look at how this plays out in Finding Nemo. Once upon a time, there was a widower clownfish named Marlin and his son Nemo. Every day, Marlin would spend time with Nemo and try to keep his son nearby. But one day, Nemo went missing, even with Marlin's precautions. Because of that, Marlin embarked on a life-changing journey to find his son. And because of that, Marlin met unlikely friends along the way, including Dory, and he learned the value of trust. Until finally, Marlin found Nemo and swam home with him and Dory to live happily ever after. So this may or may not be your style, but it is absolutely a possible starting point for you to use in your first draft, which we are going to work on now. So let's get to our assignment. The outline for a digital story is a key part of the process. Having a well thought out, written, or drawn outline will help you reach your goals. So take 8 minutes to fill out the storyboard or story map worksheet included in your packet. There are 2 ways to approach this, to write out the story or to map it out. So depending on which you choose, use that worksheet. Once you've jotted some notes or an outline for your story, you'll want to practice telling your story out loud. As you talk, you'll notice areas that need to be fixed. Work on the rhythm and the tempo of your story to create interest. So find a partner and each share your story. You have 4 minutes each. Let's see what you came up with. So as you're seeing, storytelling is done from different perspectives and will differ based on the channel you are writing them for. Here are some examples from a few of our friends. If you care about children and hunger, you'll learn a lot from Feeding America and its member organizations. Feeding America estimates that hunger can affect people from all walks in life, and millions of people in America are just one job loss, missed paycheck, or medical emergency away from hunger. Feeding America member and Qgiv client, Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, uses the national stats and information to create local stories in their market. And this is a screenshot of their Stories of Change landing page, and they showcase 9 stories on their site. And then they weave these stories and others into various marketing. And then they repurpose the stories and campaigns and repeat them throughout the year. As an example, Nancy is living on disability after a car accident left her with permanent mobility issues. She relies on Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank to get food and picks up food for up to 20 different seniors who are homebound in her housing community. And the team at Greater Pittsburgh have used her story online, in blogs, in social media, and in direct mail campaigns. Another great story comes from Amy. Amy lived a very normal life with her children and grandchildren until a cancer diagnosis in 2018 changed everything. She had to leave her job and her young daughter moved back in to help take care of her and support the family financially. So when the pandemic hit, the family was forced to choose between income from her daughter's job at the hospital and risking Amy's health. And for the first time in their life, the family looked into food assistance and it helped them through the crisis created by COVID. Storytelling lends itself wonderfully as part of fundraising events, as seen here. Greater Pittsburgh showcased Amy's story as part of their annual Empty Bowls dinner, and they weaved in a story into their thank you as a reminder of why their support is so important. And it reads, "Neighbors like Amy are helped every day because of your amazing commitment. Click the video below to hear her story, and thank you, as always, for being there for our communities." Here's examples of personalized emails from the monthly donors telling their story and encouraging others to donate. For instance, Debbie says, as a longtime elementary school teacher in Pittsburgh Public Schools, I saw firsthand the effect of hunger and food shortages on kids that I taught. I only realized they didn't have enough food at home when, after a weekend, they said they were happy to be back at school so they could have breakfast. Or another from Sherry. I wanted to share why I support the food bank. I'm a lifelong Pittsburgh girl. My dad was a steel worker, and I can remember times where people really went through hard times. We lived near the railroad tracks, and one time a man came to our backyard, in our back door, asking if he could do any work at our home for food. That's all he wanted, a meal. So aside from social, your website is one of the first places people visit to learn about your organization. And your website must illustrate the work you do and how donations make a difference for those you serve. Storytelling on your website does more than net you online donations. Did you know compelling stories can boost your SEO, your search engine optimization, and its rankings? A high ranking for certain keywords makes your web page appear higher in search results. According to HubSpot, a software developer for inbound marketing and sales, 55% of visitors leave a website within 15 seconds. While there's no guarantee the remaining 45% will stick around longer, those that do are compelled to do so by your content. And to share a story on your homepage, well, tell the story in as few words as possible and link to the full story. Consider branding your homepage around a compelling story that supports your mission. Consistency with your branding and imagery shows readers what you're trying to accomplish and how. So consider how many animal shelters brand their web pages with cats and dogs. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has an image of a dog and on just about every page and features adoptable cats and dogs throughout their site too. So remember how I said the goal is to get an emotional response? Well, Brother Wolf does that on the upcoming slides, but I do need to share that a few of the images are heartbreaking and a bit graphic, but it's totally worth sitting through, I promise. They know how to share their story and took this example, Hope's story, to where their supporters are spending a majority of their time on social media. They did a series of Facebook posts and videos sharing a story about a little puppy who was found in a garbage bag with chemical burns covering her tiny little body. And they estimated Hope was only about 2 months old. So as the story unfolded, they posted regular updates that continued the story. And the photos drew supporters in as they read her story about where she was found, what condition she was in, and what treatment she'd need to survive. They asked their followers for help and they thanked them for helping save her life. All posts linked directly to a campaign donation page where people could get more details on Hope's condition and treatment plan. And they far exceeded their goal. They saw this appeal go 345% over goal. In addition to their individual campaign for Hope, they were able to share her story and many others in their matching gift challenge. And with all that fundraising, Hope's story has a happy ending. We're thrilled to announce that Hope is now thriving in her forever home with her beloved dad, Jim, and her new furry siblings. So give visitors a consistent experience from discovering your story to supporting your story. Add imagery or briefly tell your story on the landing page of your donation form to give visitors that consistency and cut down on confusion. Someone wanting to donate in support of one cause shouldn't find themselves on a donation form for another story. Instead, create unique forms that reflect the stories you're telling. Brother Wolf is a great example of figuring out impactful videos to accompany their stories. I thought I would share a couple screen prints of a few Facebook posts they did recently on a group of 4,000 beagles that were saved from a national research facility story you may have seen on the news. They posted some with just photos and others with video that they shot on their mobile device and then added some text to. They provided stories and regular posts to engage their supporters, and when I last checked their site, they had 3 young males adopted. Nonprofit storytelling is both an art and a science, and you need to be creative to craft a great story, but also must convey it well to get it noticed. By adhering to best practices when it comes to storytelling across different media, you'll create emotional connections with your audience and convince them to make a difference by supporting the work you do. In addition to the exercise we did today, You'll find some other great information in your workbook, including definitions, templates, and information on informed consent and disclosures and tips on videos. Our time together is drawing to a close. So I leave you with a story. Once upon a time, there was a group of dedicated nonprofit professionals. Every day, and sometimes late into the night, they worked diligently to help those in need, but they needed help telling their story to elicit more donations, volunteers, and support for their cause. Then one day, they attended the Qgiv user conference in Orlando. And because of that, they learned some great tips and best practices to take back home to incorporate into their fundraising. And because of that, they were excited to embark on the next part of their journey to live and fundraise happily ever after. Thank you.